So I want to start the meeting off at five o'clock. Community Preservation Committee.
Okay.
5:35.
At 5:35, May 23rd, in the Roquois Room, the AG20 Courthouse in downtown. So we have here with us, we have the minutes from the previous meetings
Yeah,
that have been provided.
all right.
We also have the agenda for this meeting. And we have one thing to note though, there was some alterations to the minutes due to the fact that at our last meeting, we took a vote during old business and new business. During that section of our agenda, we should be taking votes there. We got into a discussion about the application and improving it. Alan is here. Alan is getting his stuff. It is. So at that time, we took a vote in the old and new business. And we had to modify the minutes because that's not really enough.
So no
The vote that we
committee.
took- The vote we took was a simple vote to do a couple of alterations to the application. That
Right.
we would have a deadline of June
7th.
We would have a box that someone would have to include the, if it was an affordable housing application, we wanted to know the substantive housing inventory. There was a third change,
Just proper contact info.
proper contact information. So we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to revote that tonight,
Okay, good.
under the application section of our agenda and not under old business.
So tell me, no committee, no board can vote on anything on new or old business.
Correct.
That's, I didn't know that.
Interesting. Good lesson learned for us. But anyways, so I'd like to take a motion for the minutes that you have in front of us. I believe the minutes we have minutes here from April 25th.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. I got a motion from Karen, a second from Bill Bonachari. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, hearing none, I'll take a vote, roll call vote. Alan? Yes. I'm both. We got most of them, but we got most of them. Rob, Shirley?
Yes.
Karen Hughes? Bill Bonachari?
Yes.
Karen Edwards?
Yes.
I sorry, yes, a thumbs up, I couldn't hear you. Okay. She did approving, yes. All right, public comment. Any public comments? Al, how you doing? You want to state your name?
Yeah, Alan Gerard from Precinct 17 Town Meeting Member, which is Red Book. First, I want to thank the committee on the 16th seat of Red Book matter. For those interested, the planning board did meet last night. Red Book was first on the agenda, and they did come up with their plan on meeting the rest of the needs of affordable housing. I know that was sort of a controversial part of it. So you can catch that in the first 15 minutes of their plan now to fulfill the rest of their obligation, which I thought was timely.
Good,
You know, so I think we're heading in the right direction with that.
good, good.
So the update, if anyone hasn't seen the planning board meeting, you can check it out on Pat Keller.
It wasn't on TV.
Oh,
No, no,
Well,
no. You're gonna have to get the rerun. I looked.
Oh.
Yeah,
Recorded for future broadcasts.
probably, yes.
All right, okay, so I wanted to touch on a couple of things. Under applications, we have St. Catherine's Chapel Park. We received an application. We reviewed that material. We had a reason for declining to recommend it. We had presented a letter that was pretty short and direct. There was a discussion at that time that we should revisit the content of that letter with town council to build language that was there was a greater explanation. And after engaging council advised the committee to be direct in their communications with applicants. So I'd like to see if there was interested in taking a motion tonight and voting to adopt the original letter that we had intended to send and use that for our letter.
Slight change to that because I anticipated having to write a new letter, so I don't have that to present for them to vote on.
Yeah.
Just if they're in agreement, doesn't even need to be a vote, just an agreement about the specific thing was not either doing or not doing an explanation of why it's not being recommended at town meeting. And it was the recommendation first of Kate McKay to look at what had historically been done. And in our conversation that we had, you said historically, the committee has never outright rejected an application. It's usually been the case that either it falls off or that you request specific information and eventually it does make it to town meeting. In this case, there was no avenue for that. But there hasn't been a precedent set for that, so her recommendation is just to give a flat rejection. Because if you do it for one person, you have to do it for everybody. So
So
we
I
give
think-
them a reason why we can't, then you have to keep doing that.
So I guess you don't vote, we just need acknowledgement from the committee that we're gonna send the original elected letter as recommended by council.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
So explain to me that there's never been a rejection.
We haven't sent that, we were prepared to send a letter declining.
Right, but I'm not talking about that. You made the statement that there's no precedent for what we're doing now. So why? I mean, there's never been a rejection.
So, well, yes, we usually send a letter and we indicate to the applicant, the applicant at this time. Typically, what we send is a letter that says, we send a letter saying, at this time, the committee is not prepared to recommend this application to town meeting. We're tabling it. If you feel as if there's additional information you want to provide us, feel free to provide that information. So we left it
Open.
No, we didn't go back to people and say no. We just said that the committee's read the material, we're tabling it, we're not sending it to town meeting unless, if you want to give us additional information, we can reconsider it.
So this is a straight no.
This is more of a straight no.
Okay,
In fact,
I get it.
What we talked about this, and we
Yeah.
felt we needed to be clearer than that.
Okay, very good.
We weren't tabling. We looked at the circumstance, we were not willing to move forward with the recommendation, so the idea was to send them a more direct letter that we weren't going to.
I got it clear now. Go ahead.
We do send, we didn't call them rejection letters, we would call them letters of, we got an application, they got a notice that we got it. And then when we had any questions, we notified them in writing to provide the additional information. When we made a decision, we would contact them by mail and let them know that we're not making a recommendation. If you have any additional information at this time, please provide it. In the meantime, we will table this application until it can be here.
Which is kind.
By the way, I was looking at the statistics on the applications. I would say 95% of the applications that somebody receives end up at some point in time as taking the form of an article. Sometimes it takes a while
Right.
to get the application into something that's agreeable and fundable. So,
Okay.
but we always took the soft glove approach to any applicants. We want them to apply to the CPC and have a positive experience.
Tighten it up.
Even
Yep.
if they didn't get funding.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll move in that direction. Little Red Schoolhouse, we did receive an application. It's not complete. I've reached out to the entity that had provided a historical. I reached out to the entity that provided some information on the cost and estimates of doing a historical structures report on the building, focusing on its current conditions, what improvements would have to be made at that building. Based on some initial thought of what the building would be utilized.
What do you think the ballpark figure? What are they looking for?
I don't know. I don't want to jump the gun and say something I don't have all the numbers for. I'm going to be refraining from that in the future.
Oh,
No guesstimations. I think the best thing we can do is wait till hear from Lynn to see when she can provide us with an update. And we can take it from there. Obviously, this is not really ready for fall town meeting, but we should put the Little Red Hood Schoolhouse in the pipeline. We should work with the Little Red Schoolhouse Steering Committee. The Little Red Schoolhouse Committee. We should work with them over a period of time to find out, one, what is the current condition of the building? Two, what repairs should we do to this building? And three, what type of repairs we should be making in relationship to what the future use is gonna be? It looks like the future use will continue to be a community building that people
Yeah,
utilize.
they
Yeah,
always
so
use
I
it. Yeah,
don't see it, it's a future adaptive reuse changing much. But I know that Lynn was saying that in determining what should be done to the building to get a rough estimate of cost, you might want to have those discussions. I did go down and meet with the Little Red Schoolhouse Committee. I'm in contact with the chair, and I went and I explained everything I just explained to you. So right now, we're just kind of on a holding pattern. With the schoolhouse, and we'll appear on the agenda until we get that initial information.
who's on the board, Bill?
Jimmy,
Burkett,
yeah, and
Terry
Terry and Jody are chair and vice chair.
yeah,
And then there's a young lady there's
that's the one I don't know.
yeah, there's a young woman who takes the minutes. There's about 8 people on that.
Okay,
And not 7 people on that committee, sorry. But they're having good luck. They're doing a great job. You know, they're focused on improving grounds.
Oh, good.
Improving the interaction with the groups that are using the building. I did indicate to you guys that we had indicated to them over the years, in recent years, that they have a chain link fence that runs along the side of the property that's pretty unsightly. The thought was that maybe we put up a 4-foot high post and rail fence, 3-tier, kind of like we could see at South Street around the basketball court. So when you drive by the Little Red Schoolhouse, you have a very secure area, very safe, that if it pulls up and a kid is in the car, he's not going to be able to get out into traffic. So it serves a safety purpose, but also is more historically sensitive material in relationship to the building. So the new DPW assistant director is James, and James is working with Mass DEP to find out how we would retract that fence that was put up by Mass DEP.
James Downey,
Down. And in the meantime, we're just going to gather an estimate of what it might cost to do something like that.
okay,
I just want to keep that on people's radar, that we want to help them with the fencing in the near future. Once James is able to get an agreement from Mass DEP to retract the twin chain link, and then when can we install? That's down the road. Rocky Pond 2, as you know, we're currently engaging in a butter. The Rocky Pond property that we bought at fall town meeting, and a butter has several acres of land and wants to sell that to the town. It's landlocked. It's it's going to be appraised, and when the appraisal comes in, the committee can take into consideration, but it abuts this property. David Boone is in contact with the owner, and we're getting it appraised. Once that appraisal comes in, the committee can take it into consideration what they want to do.
Just a quick thing, Bill, is the reference to Pinnacle Lodge, just for context, or is that going to be part of the deal at some point? It's very prominent on this.
Pinnacle, yeah, it's the name of the preserve is the Rocky Pond property that we purchased at fall town meeting. That is going to be named the Jeff Capel property, because it appraised for a certain amount of money. I think it appraised for like $300,000. We were only buying the ag rights. We were buying the remaining interest in the real estate after the United States Department of Agriculture bought away the ag rights. So there was a remaining interest in real estate that had been appraised. It was like $300,000. He sold it to us for like $250,000. That's a bargain sale. So when the seller of a piece of land sells the land for less than the appraised value to the town, we reserve naming rights, and it's called, it's not the Jeff Capel property, it's called the Capel Preserve at Rocky Pond Road.
closest road to this,
Rocky Pond. So
how close?
the way to get to it is if you would go, let's say you were down at Friendlies in downtown Plymouth, which is now.
Yeah.
a really good place.
Yeah,
You go over the Market Street Bridge, you head up Summer Street, going past Governor Carver, Spring Hill Park, and Skateboard Park. When you get to Vine Hill Cemetery, you go down to Billington,
yeah,
and you start following the town brook and go under the highway.
yeah,
You'll be passing the town brook preserve there at the old Punco location. You go under the highway, don't go into the back into the Bourne Park, continue down Billington, and keep going down Billington. You'll pass the Crawley Woods Preserve,
yeah,
and then you'll, by Love Pond and the Love Pond Pump House. You go past all that and continue past Black Cat Road. When you go past Black Cat Road, you'll start to be heading now towards Miles Standish Forest.
right,
And on the way to Miles Standish Forest, you'll see Drew Road. up
Oh,
there to
Drew
the left,
Road, yeah.
Which comes over from the skating rink and Love
Yeah.
Pond Road by the town forest.
yeah,
And on your right, a little further up the road, you'll see a little turnoff. It turns into Rocky Pond Road there before going into Miles Standish Forest, and this is where this parcel is.
okay.
It's,
I'm having trouble. I haven't made up my mind yet on open space. We
Sure.
have a lot of open space.
So we have to, I'm not, what we're doing here, Karen, is just informing the committee of who's filing the application, what those applications are going to entail. There's no discussion of whether or not we're going to recommend or you'd like to.
Right,
We wait until we have a public hearing, we take up the application and everybody can weigh in what they like and they don't.
okay,
We don't want to start determining.
discussing now.
We don't like housing, or we don't like open space, or we don't like historical, because that puts us in a situation where the Mass General law is clear. We have to implement this equally to anyone that applies. If we were to show favoritism to one entity over another, or process where someone felt like they weren't being treated equally, the town could be put at risk if someone could file a lawsuit with the town of Plymouth and civil rights.
When is this coming up, Bill?
So what we do is get all the information, have
Yeah.
a hearing, make a decision then.
I agree with you.
Hopefully, I would say that would be coming up sometime, in July, for
Okay,
consideration fall town meeting. I don't,
All
it may go to a future town meeting if right now I was, talking to the appraiser, when are we gonna get the appraisal up? Because this problem continues to persist, getting appraisals in front of this committee, mainly
Right.
managers, making decisions based on numbers. And if that appraisal doesn't come in a timely manner, we won't go to fall town meeting, we'll have to consider it for a future town meeting. But, I would say all of our, likes and dislikes for that point.
okay. Good,
The Gurnett Lighthouse is on here. We're expecting, so just to revisit the story of the Gurnett. The United States government owned the Gurnett Lighthouse. The General Service Administration wanted to give it to the town of Plymouth for 7 acres. The town declined. And an organization called the Bug Light Organization, they put an application in to receive it. They are expected to receive this lighthouse for 7 acres from GSA. They do plan to do restoration to the lighthouse. And I guess they're talking about doing some restoration or building a seawall and that money, our money can't go to a seawall, our money could go to restoring the building. But it has to be stuck in its restoration preservation, and we have to get a restriction from it. The building is eligible for an application. We can take the application again at that time when you have all the material, you can say up or down, yes or no. But right now, we've been contacted by the Bug Light Association. They plan to put in an application to do work to the Gurnett Lighthouse. Karen.
I'm not gonna discuss, but does Duxbury have a CPC?
Duxbury has a CPC, but the Gurnett is in the town of Plymouth.
That we have no access to?
Well, it is in the town of Plymouth, it is accessible. Excuse me, it's in the town, the building is in the town of Plymouth, and it's eligible for CPA funding. It's actually eligible for Duxbury funding. So the Bug Light is not in Plymouth, it's actually in Duxbury, and it's called the Duxbury Light. We call it the Bug Light. that's just us, but
We owned it at one time, didn't we?
no.
Didn't we own
It
the
was owned
Bud
by
Light?
It was owned by the United States Coast Guard and the General Service Administration owned the Bug Light. And I'd say about 15 years ago, they gave the building, the United States government gave the building to, the Bug Light Association. And the Bug Light Association owns it and operates it, and maintains it. They also own and operate the Coast Guard building that's out there already. So this organization made up of the inhabitants of the Garnet and Sagebrush, have an organization that now controls the Bug Light, and there's a Coast Guard house out there that they rent. So you can rent it and stay overnight there.
Wow. Okay,
So there, that's
So I've lived in Duxbury most of my life and before I moved to Plymouth, after I got married. I've known it as a Bug Light way back then.
it shows up on maps as the Duxbury Lights. It literally sits in the boundaries of Duxbury, the Bug Light. But most of us know it. It's vastly known as the Bug Light.
Yeah.
Let's read that with that. All right, anyways,
Mr. Chairman,
Lighthouse, sorry.
Question.
Oh, sorry. Karen?
this is Karen, yeah.
Ooh.
Apologies.
Karen,
Just
go
wanna-
ahead, wait, the mosquitoes away.
I just want to
Hi,
state,
Karen.
hi,
Can't hear you.
yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Have you got
Hear.
your microphone
Oh.
on?
Oh, wait a minute.
Still can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Okay, wait a
It's
minute.
not on my end.
It's in my top like this. I gotta talk.
Never mind.
I gotta talk to that. Can't hear you.
Does anyone have her number to call her?
Okay.
hope she has her phone.
Yeah, come on.
Jenny Davis to everyone. Actually, it is the Duxbury Pier. That's what Jenny Davis said.
You auto phone, so.
Can you answer it? Can you hear me? Hello? Karen, can you hear me? Karen? All right, so on to the next portion of the, do we see Karen up there now? She's still on?
No, I think she probably closed it out and might be restarting it.
Okay.
She's not in there anymore.
Oh, here she is. Karen, how are you? Karen? And Karen, can you hear me? Karen, can you hear me?
I can bring you up.
Okay, did you have a question?
No, I just want to let you know this statement that before any construction or changes go around Bug Light, of course, the obvious thing is it will come before the Conservation Commission. It's come before us before.
So Karen, being from the Conservation Commission is right, anything we do out there, especially if the word is they're gonna do some seawall work, that's definitely gonna have to go before Concom. But that's not I don't believe, that'd be an interesting question, but my understanding is, the restoration and preservation of the actual structure is what the funds will be for. But, all right, well, keep us posted if you hear anything there. Thank you, Karen. All right. Okay, was there anything else in that section that we're forgetting, Chelsea?
No.
I think we covered everything. Okay. Now we're back to, all the new business. And just to let people know, I have here an example, Karen, if you can see that. This is an example of a plaque that will go on the wall in inspection services. It will go in the wall next to, it's not gonna be made of this. It's gonna be made of, it's gonna be a plaque. It's a raised plaque. It doesn't sit flat on the wall. It kind of sticks out. The best example of this plaque that I'm speaking of, it's in the hallway next to the hall portraits. You'll see a plaque out there. It's raised from the wall. and you walk up to it and it tells you about the portraits. This plaque is a little bit bigger than those. This is kind of a bigger plaque because we wanted to make sure that the photographs that show the progression of reclaiming the damaged window, the restoration of the window, and the reuse of the window. So, but anyways, there's a little story there. It'll go up in the wall. We went through a sign company locally to do that. We also have 3 other signs under review. One for Rocky Pond, the Capel Preserve, one for the Dixon Preserve down on Old Sandwich Road, one for Rocky Hill Road Preserve. Rocky Point Preserve. These signs are currently getting cost estimates done. They are exceeding some of the procurement requirements. They will have to go to bid. So Chelsea is working on that with David Gould.
Just want to clarify, things that go to bid are over 50,000. It is not that expensive. It's over 10,000. So we have to get 3 quotes.
We're not, that's right, we're not, correction, we're not going to bid because that would be over 50 grand. We're just getting additional estimates. We have 1 set of estimates, so we have to get 2 more because it's 10 grand. Okay. We talked about this earlier. The application deadline is January 7th. The warrant is opening July 30th. The warrant closes August 8th for fall town meeting. We should do in this section of
You mean June or?
June 7th is the
June
correct
7th.
date.
June
You
7th.
said January.
Okay, June 7th is the application deadline. The warrant opens on July 30th and closes August 9th. And we should put that language right in there with that.
Yeah,
Do you want that included in the application, you mean?
Yeah, I would start a new section of our agenda called fall town meeting. And just put in there the dates of when things open and close.
it's a good one.
Keep that on our radar.
Yeah,
So DOR, Department of Revenue, has released its most recent calculations for the match.
I saw that.
So the match is down again. Just to put things in perspective, so we focused on how the match works. Because when we adopted the Community Preservation Act in 2002, we were expecting about a 45% match. Okay, we adopted it. We were one of the earlier towns to adopt the CPA. So being an early town adopting the CPA in the year 2002, there was a real estate boom there in 2002 and 4 and 5. So there was a lot of money coming into DOR. There wasn't a lot of towns that had the CPA when it had it. So in 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, we got 100%. Very much. Never thought we were going to get anything like that. So for the first 5 years of the CPA, we were getting 100%. And then in 2009, 10, 11, and 12, and 13, when the Great Recession hit and real estate transactions were down, we went from 100% to 70% to 80% to, I think we went from 100 to 78 to 65 to 40, 52 to 45 to 32. And then it's been, so, even after the recession, even after the real estate recession bottomed out sometime around in Massachusetts, anywhere between 2015, 16, and 17, it was bottoming. It was either bottomed out or getting better, depending on where you were in the state. The revenue started to come back, but the revenue never really came back to any substantial numbers. I guess that we even did when the real estate market was coming back. We were getting like about 32%, 28%. So we weren't getting a lot, but what we had achieved starting, in 2007 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, it wasn't the match that was the most impressive benefit of the CPA. It was the ability to partner with other parties that had money in grants that we went after. So even though our match has been dropping, our ability to write grants and partner with other organizations, writing grants and partner with their money to leverage our money has made up for that quite impressively. So for every dollar the town of Plymouth is spending on CPA, we're, averaging anywhere from $2.75 worth of buying power, anywhere to $3.75 buying power. So our buying power, we put $1 down and $2 to $3 more come in from grants, match, and partnerships. So it'd be nice to get that trust fund that DOR controls. We'd like to see that number get up. Now, for the longest time, the Community Preservation Coalition, for 10 years now, 14 years, 15 years, the coalition has been advocating on Beacon Hill that we change the Community Preservation Act to instruct DOR to try to take a more stabilizing approach to that revenue stream, meaning that there'd be a piece of legislation that goes in that, hey, when the money goes way up, you don't get 100% match. You just get 50% all the time. So the money piles up in good years, and they can operate from that. And then in bad years, there's something that can, compensate for the drop, which will allow CPCs to do more long-term planning. But there's been a lot of talk about this, about stabilizing the fund, and this becomes a certain amount. And at different times, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has gone to their general fund and their budget and put a line item in there to infuse money into the CPA when there was times when it was really dropping. But it has dropped, and all of that said, it's dropped to approximately
25.
It's expected to be 14.4%.
14.
I was actually just trying to pull up, I have a document if anyone's interested that has all of the years previously. I believe it was 32% last year.
So 32 to 14.
Yeah, 14.
As you know, in the real estate world, there's not a lot of inventory. There's not a lot of buying and selling. I would equate it to the opposite of 2008, 9, and 10, where there was plenty of inventory in the conveyances. Now there's no inventory. So it's
Push pull.
but I don't wanna create, we should take this under consideration because we made a lot of recommendations at Springtown meeting to do a lot of work. And based on that information, Lynn, and Chelsea will be looking at, how best to manage what we recommended. And when we might have to send articles to town meeting, moving money into play to do things, or maybe even going up a short-term borrow. So that being the case, and this number dropping, we should be extra sensitive to future recommendations to town meeting to make sure that we're getting the proper advice from the finance department, that we can manage these affairs. We've been able to do it during the recession. We can do it in this time frame period too, but I just want to put it on people's radar that it's gone from 32 to 14.
This is the lowest it's ever been.
Yes. Can I expand on that actually?
Yeah.
Any community that adopts CPA at less than the 3% surcharge only gets one round of distribution from the trust fund. So communities that have accepted it at a higher can expect most likely higher than that 14.4%.
So if we adopted it at 3%, we're eligible for a second round only if it's. We didn't adopt it on the second. It would have been great 2002 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 because we would have been getting 200%. So we didn't do the 3. We asked the residents for 1.5 because it was much more manageable on their tax bill. 3% would have been high. Paul Whittington was a big advocate of hanging on a second to make this affordable. So we went to 1.5% and didn't ask for the 3% surcharge. So that's why we've never got the match. But we didn't get the match, but in the long term, Paul Whittington was right because there was only a few times where the matches, you get the second round.
As an aside, we also have to be aware that if this land bank is adopted, that will be a fee on the homeowner selling their home. What that fee is, I don't know. I've heard everything from $2,000 down, so I don't know. And then there might be a fee for, not sure I heard it right, but green initiatives that are coming in. That's gonna go on your green, I forget what it's called. They were just in on Tuesday night talking about it. They want to plant trees, they want to do things, which I think is great, but all these fee-fi-fo funds are adding up. So I think we also have to be careful and keep that in mind, because they're rebelling, and I hear it all the time.
If it interests anybody, I can send out the proposed language for the land bank.
We haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, I've heard it, but
Yeah, that's a select board thing though, right? That's not.
No.
No. So the land bank.
I'm all for it, by the way.
Okay, well, we've got to read it first.
Yes, I do.
So let's,
I'm for it anyway.
okay, well,
It's like, we just use it, you know, when you get Microsoft, okay, yeah, fine, just give me the software.
the land bank would, find, revenue through real estate transactions. And the land bank would be utilized for different purposes. So why don't you send out the language, people read it, and you can, you know.
And again, there's a CPC thing?
no.
No.
Planning board, well, it's aside from the planning board, it's,
Doesn't matter.
So what would happen, it's a proposal that would have to take the form of a, article on the warrant to town meeting. And the town meeting would have to.
Thanks for that, Bill.
Right.
Town meeting would have to approve it. You know, this is something that would have to be done by town meeting. And I believe that, even if town meeting approved it, it'd have to go to the state legislature for approval from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts before coming back to Plymouth. And I'm not sure if the entire population of Plymouth is to vote on it, or after, state approval, it's enacted.
yeah, I don't,
I
yeah.
don't think you need town approval. The only triggering mechanism out there, I think, is, I know when we set up a housing trust, a few years back, it just needed town meeting approval. This land trust, needs town meeting approval, and needs state approval. And then the question that I have is, because it's raising money, will the residents have a chance to determine if that is what they want to dump on? So after town meeting and state approval, does it go to the voter? I guess it doesn't. I haven't heard anybody say it does. But in the interim, rather than guess on everything,
Yeah.
let's Chelsea send it out, and if you have time, take a look at it, read it. But it's, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
All right, our next meeting is June 13th.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
road walk conference room, which is here, will be a remote option. And I really appreciate people responding when Chelsea puts out, or I put out, hey, the meeting's on the 27th. It's always great when everybody responds, because, we know we have a quorum. Chelsea can start organizing around that. So whenever you get it, you can respond and say, yeah, I'll be there. That's always nice.
May I left this way for discussion because we've been moving around meeting times. Again, no voting in this section, but if you just want to open a discussion on what time you'd like to have the next meeting.
So, say that again, Chelsea, I was looking at.
Just discussion for the time of day you'd like at this next
I
meeting.
actually like this 5 o'clock time.
Yeah.
5:30 or 5 o'clock?
Five is good. I-
5:30 was
like
an
5 too.
accident, but 5:30 might be a good time.
5:30, I don't care.
I mean, five is fine.
Yeah, I
I
prefer
guess-
5 to 5:30.
Yeah, why don't you leave it to the pleasure of, myself and Chelsea to,
How
on
did
case
I-
by case basis, whether we're gonna go 5 or 5:30. But, we'll try to make it, convenient to everyone. Because, the 5 works.
The later meetings are
Yeah.
tougher.
And now that we have staff support, we have to be sensitive to the fact that staff is here in the morning, through the day, and then they're here at night. So, tightening up our schedule
I'll
makes.
come whenever you need me to.
What's that?
I'll come whenever you need me to.
Yes, but.
They might like 5 because,
You don't have a problem with 5, and if your day ends at 4, and that gives you plenty to set up at 5 o'clock. It's less hanging around twiddling your thumbs.
they like that. I remember when it was at 7. Oh my,
It was terrible.
Granted, now it's better.
Different boards,
Yeah.
times, like different things. Right now, people seem to be interested in the earlier times. The only reason, because this statute that we are involved in serves at the pleasure of the voters, we met at 7 so that people who were working and paying the bills and paying the
Right.
taxes had an opportunity to get to these meetings at 7 o'clock at night here. At 5 o'clock, it's very difficult. John's stuck in traffic. He commutes into Boston for work. So,
well,
once
he
you
was
start
out
getting-
in Western Mass.
Yeah, so John moves around, but I'm just saying that there's 60,000, 70,000 people living in Plymouth, and a lot of people get on the highway and go away, and they can't get to these meetings at 5 and 6 and 7. But when we do get to the hearing time to consider articles, I think we have to move it to 7 to be respectful to the voters to come to the meeting. Because I feel like we should do something to allow voters to logistically get here. Because some people are working and traveling, and we should be sensitive to that a couple of times a year. Just getting ready for fall town meeting, and we need to do the hearing, we might consider that for future discussions. But I want to recognize it might be convenient to us at 5, but for the residents who are flipping the bill, they might not be able to make it. We want to be sensitive to that.
Could put out a survey.
What was that?
We could put out a survey to give us a concrete answer.
But we should be, I think that when we have a hearing to discuss an article going to town meeting, I think we might want to push the envelope there into a vicinity where someone legitimately can get here if they're working for it and traveling, great distances. You're commuting out of Plymouth. I don't know, what we can tell.
I think you're right.
All right, so, we can always discuss this as we get closer. Public comment, we have public comment?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just looked up quickly, Steve Bolton had a nice, rendition on the land bank. And just, according to, it wouldn't be just the legislature, that would approve according to his website. There was some pushback of, Martha's Vineyard and the Nantucket was approved.
Yeah,
Because of that being approved, but there was pushback because of the fee component,
yeah.
but it was approved eventually. So
I'm pretty sure, I'm sure it's just a vote of town meeting, and because, it is requiring to raise money,
Yeah.
only the general clerk can do that, so it's gonna take it back, the home rule petition, you gotta get it reviewed by the state to see if it's okay. I was just curious, if, I read it, I didn't see anything to it, I'm just operating off of, hey, you're gonna be, going after this money in real estate transactions, and does, the residents, do they weigh in? Because when they adopted the Community Preservation Act, there was a town, you had to, one, we went to town meeting, and we had it put on the ballot, and residents came out and voted for it, because we were putting a
so that
survey.
being on the tax.
It was a surcharge on the total tax bill. This won't be, the land bank is not fueled by a levy on the quarterly tax bill. That's what's probably keeping it off the pole. All it's doing is getting its revenue from real estate transactions at every closing.
Yeah,
And only the closing, a certain amount of money will be taken, from the closing into the
Yeah.
town.
on a $500,000 home, 2%, that's $10,000.
Paid by the buyer, sure. Well, it's interesting, I'm in the middle of my relicensing and taking continuing education. You think, you can say it's paid by the buyer, or paid by the seller, but it's coming out of a process. It starts with determining the value of the home, listing the property, taking offers, and eventually getting to negotiation. If people have this thing hovering out in the distance at 2%, that starts to adjust how real estate agents, buyers and sellers
How they interact. Yeah.
with determining what is the comparative market analysis of a property in terms of what it should be listed for. It's, you know, it's a one-time fee. But let's read the paperwork and follow the debate. It's a worthy discussion. I've been an advocate of the land bank for many years. I just want to make sure that the land bank that we're putting into creation is the priority, is protecting the land.
So outside of the information that I can send, the master plan kickoff meeting is June 20th, I believe. And they'll also be coming in front of COPC, likely the third Thursday in July, to discuss this. And they're looking to get a lot of feedback. Currently, their language right now has a lot of very thoughtful exceptions, and this 2% is a lot, especially when most homes in Plymouth are over $500,000.
So, Chelsea, when you have time, since you're doing this for COPC and you're notifying them about upcoming meetings relevant to the land bank, feel free to include us after sending us the language. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay.
The only thing we're gonna be concerned about, Bill, is if we get more than a quorum, we may want to just proactively list it as a meeting of the CPC as well, just in case we have more than a quorum.
Going to these meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attending a COPC meeting, you mean?
Yeah, if we are attending a meeting as representatives of the CPC, and we end up with a majority of the people there going to the
But
meeting.
we're talking about just going.
Yeah, for informational purposes, you wouldn't be conducting a business.
We're not gonna post we wouldn't be posting a meeting because we wouldn't be going unless invited.
Okay,
So we're just going as citizens.
Yeah.
We won't have to post.
all right, that's fine.
But if we're asked to come in as a CPC, we're obviously gonna have to post. Okay, anything else going on? I have to, can you think of anything else? Any new or old? Excuse me, we already did that, right? Nothing else to comment on. Just looking across the street, the Spire's coming to its final conclusion.
Yeah.
If you haven't had a chance, recently they just added these really interesting, if you look from where the Spire is attached to the turret with the louvers, you'll see these very interesting cornices going in all over the building.
Yeah.
They were there prior to the aluminum siding. They were taking some of the sledgehammer to them. So those cornices that you see under the eaves, is that what I'm calling them? Is that what you call them? They're all over the building. If you have time, walk around it. We get it up under the gables, all around the building. They'd all been thrown away and destroyed. The only way we figured it out was with photographs and measurements. And when we pulled the aluminum siding off, we saw actual little spots where things went. So we were able to recreate a lot of molding from that analysis. Obviously, in the top you see the terracotta crusted. Bill?
Crusty.
That's right. Is it crusty?
Yeah.
That's found that we saw in photographs that hasn't been up on the roof probably for at least 100 years. There was no photos in the early part of the 20th century showing the crusting. Most likely it might have been terracotta that came down off the roof. Interesting enough, that roof originally was like a hemp canvas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
That was coming with linseed oil.
Yeah.
Green.
Yeah.
So it's a glorified blue towel.
What's going on the very top?
What was that?
What's going on the very top?
So on the very top, there is that pointy pot's gonna have a copper cone. And then there's gonna be a ball of gold. On top of the ball, there is a mass coming out, and there's a very, very simple. arrow
Nice.
all over the south shore.
We could tell
I
with
was
the
walking
wind.
by Weymouth Landing and Weymouth Landing, I was on 53. Just past the Fulton Bridge in this beautiful congregational church, and on top of it, it had the exact same one we're putting out there, but it will be gold gilded and it will be an arrow.
Nice.
And there wasn't, we haven't seen one up there for quite some time. This one will be reshafted. Interesting enough, when they were up there trying to do an analysis of the situation, the cone that had been destroyed, the weather vane that was missing, we found bullet holes of around it. Somebody might have been trying to shoot at us.
Yeah.
One night, they thought that was funny, so, so we thought it was a Marshfield fair opportunity.
Hey, Bill, I heard, is there a swing band going in there? I heard that, a swing band. Bodies,
Oh. They have they have once a year, they have a group that travels through here that has an orchestra.
yeah.
So anyways, that's coming to a conclusion. We have no other new business
No.
other than that. If you have a chance, you can take a look at this and
Yeah.
take a look in the hallway of an example of what it will look like when it's done, but I can take a motion to adjourn
Adjourn.
for the second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.